Well, we really enjoy it when our next guest comes on. He always brings us unique ways to bring a complicated life topic to life. Estate planning for our futures. I mean, we've done everything from soup to pies to tool chests, Barbies, Smurfs.
And today, David Carrier's brought in donuts.
Just from Matt Kirkwood.
That's right.
Yeah, and you use these as illustrations of a really very complicated life issues that we all need to be considering.
Right. And I want to point out that these are low-calorie, high-fiber, vegan, tofu-based. No, they're not
really. I was going to say we have a polygraph that we're going to hook you up to.
Well, that brain guy was looking kind of,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was looking at you.
I noticed that.
Exactly.
I was concerned.
Okay, so we're talking about something that's super important. People have been getting letters in the mail recently.
That's right.
To talk about something kind of scary.
Well, here's the deal. It's unusual to find somebody who can afford the, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 cost of nursing home care. And the fact of the matter is that the way that people pay for nursing home care is through Medicaid. If you're in skilled nursing, you're on Medicaid. And I don't care what facility you go to, it's about 80% of the folks in there are on Medicaid. That's just the way it is. Except at St. Anne's, where it's 55%, but everyone else is around 80%. Now, what that means is, obviously that's a big expense, that's a big cost, and Medicaid is the way that Americans have chosen, all 50 states. Medicaid is the way that we've chosen to pay for that. Now, most other states, Michigan was the last, have a program called estate recovery. Estate recovery means that if you still have your house, if you still have some stuff when you die, and you are on the Medicaid program, we want your stuff. Which it sounds kind of, well, hey, what the heck, Medicaid's expensive, you've got some stuff, why shouldn't we get your stuff? And the problem with that is this. Whenever you hear about it, it sounds like it's the big solution. Medicaid's so expensive, how are we going to solve that problem? We're going to get your stuff when you die. In fact, out of the whole Medicaid budget, it's only about 10% of it, about 10% goes to the long-term care. Okay, so we're not talking about the whole Medicaid budget, we're talking about 10%. Of the 10% that goes to the Medicaid, if that's 100% now, right? It's less than 1% in the states that have been doing this for years, like Colorado and Massachusetts and West Virginia. It's less than 1% of the 10% that they're actually getting back in estate recovery. So, you've held on to the house, the kids, mom and dad is in the nursing home, maybe one of the kids has moved home, you want to keep the family cottage, et cetera, et cetera. Well, if the cost of sacrificing the family cottage was to provide for everybody, well, okay, kind of tough for you guys, but okay, it makes the system work. We're talking about a rounding error. I mean, we're talking about doesn't make a difference.
Negligible, really, in the whole budget, but for a family, potentially catastrophic if you're losing that.
Right. It just doesn't seem fair. To some degree, and whenever the government gets involved, a lot of times, and especially, with family issues and your estate, that can be problematic.
Right. Now, last week, Henry Erb actually did a piece on, and we, he came out and we talked about it a little bit, with a family who's going through just that, where one of the kids had been maintaining the house and all the rest, and now the state comes in and says, hey, $36,000, let's go. And the problem is that this law passed back in 2007, in the fall of 2007. They didn't make it effective. They didn't start enforcing it until July of last year, and now they're going retroactive to July of 2010.
Wow.
So you may have a probate estate that's closed. You already sold everything. You already gave it all away, and now the state is saying, hey, you still owe us the money.
Wow, that seems crazy. So what do the donuts have to do with
I'm about to eat one, but...
Time to eat. Let's talk about this.
All right,
what's the illustration?
Here's the way it works. Estate recovery doesn't take everything. What they give you is half of the average cost of a home in the county. Now, the value of a home in the county, in Kent County, has been going down over the last several years.
Clearly.
So I don't know exactly what the value of it is, and there's no official number yet. We don't have a, is it half the SEV? Is it half the average sales? We don't know what this number actually is, but whatever it is, that is a donut. Okay? See, this is the idea. The donut is the value of the average house in Michigan, in Kent County. It's county by county. So the state says, okay, we want half of the donut, and give us half of the donut, and you can keep the other half.
Okay, so who gets that?
The kids get that. There you go, kids. Have half the donut. We're going to keep the other half. But what if your house is worth more than the average? Okay.
Right.
What if you have, the shack on the lake, and we have a lot of clients in this situation where the house, they didn't pay very much for it, but now it's worth a whole plate of donuts. Well, guess what the kids get to keep? Half the donut.
Wow.
You see, and then the state says, well, fine, we'll give us the rest. Appreciate it.
Oh, man.
There goes the family house.
Yes.
There goes the cottage.
There goes your lifetime of saving that you had worked for in hopes of leaving it to the next generation.
And guess what the kids have been doing? You've been in the nursing home for the last 5 years.
They've been paying for it.
Bingo.
Because they want to keep the house.
So now they can't, I'm not going to do it. For the donut, for the plate of donuts, okay, fine, I'll do it. But for half a donut, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Am I going to be paying the taxes? Am I going to be doing the upkeep?
Right.
Am I going to be passing the hat to all the rest of the kids? Forget about it.
So to avoid this, how do you do it right?
To avoid a state recovery, you have to avoid probate.
Okay.
Now the question is, you see, you used to be able, until July of last year, you used to be able to argue, I think, that avoiding probate wasn't that big a deal because it didn't really cost that much and such. Well, now, if you're in probate, now you got a state recovery. Now we're not talking 10% of the estate. We're talking half of the estate, 80%. I don't know. It depends. So avoiding probate becomes more important. The problem is the way people usually avoid probate by putting their kids on the deed. For example, I'm going to put my kids on the deed. There was a funeral home in town used to do deeds for people. The funeral home did, only they screwed them up. I mean, no big surprise. So you wound up with going through probate anyhow. Right? But in our life plan workshops, one of the things we talk about is, well, how do we avoid probate and do all those other things that you want to do?
Tell us about the workshops, because you have some coming up. This is really a great free opportunity for people to get introduced to these concepts that are,
pretty complicated.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, one of the reasons we're talking about the donuts today is with Henry, we had 2 minutes, and even today we don't have that much time.
Right.
But in the workshop, we have a couple of hours. We take 2 hours. We do these things every single week. The reason we do them every week is because it's a good intro. It's a good way to get started, because there really are a lot of issues. Every client comes in and says, I want to keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. Our situation is very simple. If I had a nickel for every simple situation, I wouldn't be here, guys.
Exactly. Okay, so seating is limited. You have to call to reserve the spot. The good news, if you call and they're all filled up, they'll put you on the list for the next one. Call 616-361-8400. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Terry.
Very enlightening.
Thank you.
And, at least introducing us to these concepts we all have to think about. Do you even have a will?
No.
The answer is no, yes.
No.
Here you go.
There you go.
I know.
We'll be right back. Shame on you.